Hello and welcome back to the Video Game Music Podcast. I'm your host, Edwin Garcia, and today I had a very special interview to share with Matthew Gambrell, the composer for the music in Xeodrifter, a Nintendo Switch indie darling that first premiered on the 3DS, and now that it's on Switch, it's had a bit of a resurgence, and I thought it would be a great time to talk to Matthew Gambrell about it. So what you're about to hear is an interview we did together talking about the music from Xeodrifter. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of some technical difficulties occurring, so there is no video. I did record it, but it didn't work out too much. A file got corrupted or something, and the beginning got a bit cut off. So we jumped right into the conversation. So apologies for that, but it was still a really phenomenal interview, and I think it's going to be something that all of you enjoy. Out your website, and it looks like you do primarily actual game development. Can you talk a little bit about what your experience is making games and making music for said games?
I have not made music for many games. My experience is, mostly just programming. But I've been trying to make music for a long time. So some of that practice eventually got to pay off a little bit. The only other music in any of our video games we've done that I've got in them is Chicken Wiggle, which we did, which has got all my music in it. And there is some of my songs in Mutant Mud's Super Challenge and Mutant Mud's Collection.
Yeah,
I did the boss music in those games.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I tried the Super Challenge, but I got to get it a little bit better. So I haven't actually checked out the OST, and since I'm not good enough to kind of get through the game, I haven't experienced too much of the music. But yeah, it gives me more inspiration to get a little bit more skilled so I can actually enjoy the music in its setting there.
Yeah, there's some good music in Mutant Mudds. So you got to play through to some of the later levels. Not my music. My music is not that great in that game, but Troop Gamage's music is awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to check it out. That's great. And yeah, I didn't know you also were creating music for Chicken Wiggle. I haven't played that game yet. So yeah, that's another exciting thing to listen to.
Yep, you should check it out. It's decent.
Yeah, you're so modest. I love it. Well, you say you're not a musician, but you definitely have that musician's mentality where it's like, oh, it's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's probably me in general, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
About basically everything I do.
Okay, so normally on this podcast, I like to highlight just a few key tracks that really resonate with me and that I really enjoy because, we can go on for hours and hours. So I figure to kind of save some people some time, like here's just a couple of bite-sized tracks that I think really highlight some of the great things about whatever game we're talking about. And then I talk a little bit about it. Obviously, having you here, I have the advantage of we can just actually get it straight from the horse's mouth instead of me just interpreting, the music myself. So it's up to you. Normally, I actually play the recording, but since, we're both on a call, maybe that's not the best idea. Would you like to take a moment to listen to it for yourself, or would you just like to talk a little bit about the tracks that we were going to discuss?
I mean, if you want to play them for purposes of it making sense in your podcast, go right ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll start off with Encounter. Usually I just play a snippet, so I think I'm going to do that again. And just maybe play the... actually, Encounter's short enough, we can probably just play through the whole thing. So here, I'll play it really briefly, and then, yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about... the making of the track and what you were thinking when you created it. So here we go. I'm going to play Encounter. And starting now. All right, so that's Encounter. Yeah, even listening to it now, there's just so much going on, and I love how it just keeps building and building, and then it kind of comes back down, and then it builds up again, and obviously it ramps up into the next track, which we'll play in a moment. But yeah, I'll kind of be quiet here and let you kind of speak a little bit about the making of Encounter.
So that song definitely was built to go along with a cutscene, and I got to say, one of the greatest things in the world, and I would really like to do more of, I think, when making a game is I like scripting sequences, getting all the timing and all the motion exactly right, but being able to do that and then make the music that goes along with it, like so that the music and the the script is all on the same beats and making sense together. That's really, really fun. So I just can't get enough of it, even though that's short. It took a long time.
Yeah.
In that song, there are. So to be clear, I was like figuring out what was going to happen in the scene, and I would go make the music, and then I'd do the next little bit. So I was doing it all at once. In that song, there's a lot going on because there's a lot of thematic elements, even though there's not much music in the game. Both for purposes of economy and because that's just what I like. There's like everything in there is a callback to something else elsewhere in the game. There's this like little riff, which is used in the title song and is used in the ending song, although in a slightly different key. I actually took that from Mutant Muds and reworked it a little bit because by that time we'd known that we were considering it part of the same universe slightly a little bit. Insofar as there is at least Max appears in like graffiti in some of the levels.
Oh, wow.
And the things you collect in the game are like water sprites, which is from Mutant Muds, but it's their brothers, the fire sprite and the earth sprite and stuff like that. So
whatever. That's true.
So I tried to tie the games together. Oh, this should be relevant. In Mutant Mud Super Challenge, the introduction to the boss battle song is the same as the introduction to the boss battle song in Xeodrifter. Because, like I said, it's economical. It gave me something to work with. But also, that's just what I like to do. Like, one of my favorite soundtracks of all time is Final Fantasy IV. And if you pay close attention to that game, I think there's 10 different themes that get reused in every single song over and over and over.
Yeah.
You can hardly recognize it in a lot of cases because it's reworked so considerably. And to me, that's just the ultimate thing, is if you can keep reusing those bits to make it so everything seems a little familiar, even if it's the first time you've heard it. It gives it a little, like the first time you hear a song, you've got a nostalgic vibe from it because you've heard those riffs and those themes used before in previous songs in the game. So that's what I always have in mind.
Yeah, that's amazing. I never thought about making the connection with Mutant Muds and it kind of being a universe. But yeah, it totally makes sense once you said it, and I started thinking about the visuals of the game and both the games. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So, if you can probably point to every single thing in that song and figure out where it was used. Like the sound effect that plays in the song when your ship gets hit, the wah, 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 little siren sound is the same as when you get hit by a strong attack in the game. It just emits from the player. That's just the sound of the player getting hurt. Stuff like that. Like everything in there is probably somewhere else.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's jump right into a star chart, which is the next piece that also it kind of segues in if you listen to them back to back. And I definitely recommend everyone go and check it out on Bandcamp. All you gotta do is type in Xeodrifter OST, and it should pop up. It's the first thing that comes up, and that's where I'm listening to it right now via Bandcamp. And yeah, it's a great app. You can purchase the album there, and I'm just going in it in order. That was track 2, and we'll take a taste of track 3 here. So without further ado, let's listen to Star Chart. All right, and there we go. That was Star Chart. So yeah, this same thing. I'll kind of keep it brief and just let you kind of explain to me if you can, the inspiration for that, and how that song maybe builds on the other things you were talking about with the themes and motifs kind of being reused.
So that song began as just the very first riff that plays. I conceived of it as kind of like a radar ping going across the solar system. So it takes a few seconds to come back. That's why it's so echoey. That's really all I had to work with at the beginning. So I built everything around that. I think maybe one reason why the song is successful, at least I think it is, insofar as at least you enjoyed it, is I believe it very succinctly captures in a nutshell of what I think is good about the game, which is it's kind of a not exact but very hazy memory of Metroid. Like I didn't listen to any Metroid music when I made this stuff. I didn't even replay Metroid because I really wanted it to be more about what my super hazy nostalgic memories were. So to me, it's more than just Metroid. Like this song is just my memory of the Nintendo. That's just how Nintendo memories make me feel, is what that song is. So that's one reason I think it works.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, obviously, yeah, it's a Metroidvania, as people like to say. I really enjoyed this game. I really feel like kind of what you mentioned. It hit a sweet spot for me, where it did make me feel like I was playing a game from maybe the NES, even though obviously technically speaking, it was on a 3DS. It had its own advantages, but I really liked what it gave me, and that feeling. It felt nostalgic, but not in a way where I feel like I was getting like a watered down version. I was just getting like a new perspective on that kind of feeling, and it's interesting you say that with Star Chart. It kind of feels like that song and the way you described it kind of captures the essence of the game, which is like we're giving you that feeling, but it's also new and it's fresh and it's a new experience that you're going to enjoy, and it reminds you of previous experiences. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea, that a new thing can give you an old like kind of feeling of like a good feeling, but also just give you a new perspective and kind of add new music and new games to the same conversation.
Yeah. Also, I would like to add, probably there was some consideration there in that song given to kind of dialing it down a bit from the overwrought epicness of the title music, because I don't know, it's not that extravagant an adventure. In fact, it's a notably brief adventure. So it needed to be a little more personal. He's just stuck there with 4 planets.
Yeah, I like that it was brief adventure because, like I said, I'm not the greatest gamer in the world. So I was like, okay, sweet. I'm like, some people, they're like, oh, it's a short game. I'm like, that's great. That means I'm going to definitely finish this one. So I like that about it. It was like bite-sized. It wasn't overwhelming. And it was like, hey, in everything that was, done in the worlds and the planets, it felt really good. It felt like, nothing overstayed its welcome. And it was I wouldn't even say it was a short. It was just like a sweet experience that wasn't, 30 hours or something like that.
Yep, that's nice. It makes it more affordable to develop as well.
Yeah, that's
so
another
if you can
thing,
manage to convince people that that's a great thing, then awesome. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who've played the game, especially when it came out on Switch, and were very pleased. And they were like, "Oh, I've never played this game," similar to my experience. And it was nice, kind of seeing the love it got, at least from what I saw from the Nintendo community, and just the gaming community in general seemed to really embrace Xeodrifter, along with Mutant Muds in the collection when it came out, and hopefully when Chicken Wiggle gets its Switch release, and I believe the Kickstarter was successful. Hopefully that only brings more success to the company and it allows them to make more games and new experiences.
Me too, man.
All right, cool. So if you don't mind, I'd love to go with the final track today, which is a Spirit Walk. It's a little longer, so it's like 2 minutes, but I'd love to play it if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. All right, here we go. So Spirit Walk, final track. All right, wow, that was that was a lot. Okay, so yeah, so I'd love to hear your thoughts there on Spirit Walk. I hear it, obviously it had a lot of energy, a lot of movement, a lot of consistency, with the motifs kind of driving throughout. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Spirit Walk and creating the track and kind of the intention of the track.
So nominally, I would say that track did what I needed it to do. As great as I wish it would have, but it did check the boxes, I think. The idea there is you're in the boss monster's head, and you're experiencing his perspective of the pain he's feeling, or something like that. Anyway, so it should be a song that is from the mind of the alien. So that is why it is so weird. One of the easy things to make it weird is the whole thing is in some 7-beat time instead of a normal meter. Let's see here. That's probably the main thing that makes it weird. There's the like weird meow sound effect in there, which remember it's exactly the same sound as the bosses make, but it's probably related and is close enough to make you feel like it's something from the alien's mind.
I would have to check, but I'm pretty sure it is because yeah, that's the sound I hear. I'm like, okay, now I gotta jump to the other side.
Yeah. So I probably wouldn't have used the exact same sound, but I would have used a scrap of it and remixed it a little bit.
Right.
Also, in listening to it, one thing that's evident there is I'm a big fan of Oingo Boingo, and if you go listen to some Oingo Boingo songs, it might sound familiar. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll write that down. I'll take a listen after and see if I can make the connection. Yeah, the 4/7. Kind of disappointed myself that I didn't notice that. But yeah, as soon as you said it, I started humming the melody in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 3 4 1. I'm like, yeah, totally. Yeah, that's awesome. I love when things are that's when it's really when you've done a really good job is when you've done something either rhythmically interesting or harmonically advanced and people don't even notice. I actually think that's the achievement. You're not supposed to notice. You're just supposed to enjoy that. Hey, that's really good. And then, if you actually check, then it's like, oh, there's a lot of intricate things. I think sometimes when people do things like put things in 7 or do reharmonizations or, abstract chord progressions, sometimes like in the musician aspect, it's a little too like, it's kind of like, not, I don't want to say artsy, but just kind of like, you're just kind of doing it to do it and not with a purpose. It should always be, oh, that's just what I needed to do to get the good sound I wanted to be achieved. And I feel like the fact that's in 7 and I as a listener, didn't even pay attention to that or notice it. It's because I was just enjoying the sound. And next thing I know, when I actually went back and you told me, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it was in 7. I'm like, well, then that's even more of a testament to like, accomplishing the goal of just having music that works and that sounds good and feels good.
Yeah, when you know how to do things that are compositionally sophisticated, which I don't, I would suspect there's an overwhelming urge to deploy those amazing skills, probably to excess. Mm-hmm. But then again, if you're able to keep it, let's say at the service of your muse instead of kind of in charge of your muse, then that's probably the way to go.
Yeah, you have to remember what the goal is, and the goal is for the song and the track to fit the game. Not show me the most fancy thing you can make and make it,
Yeah, so that same meter would probably be used for a few songs in any. Should I be so fortunate to get to make one follow-ups to Xeodrifter? Anytime those aliens are around, I would have to do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
because that's sort of I set for myself. I got to reuse my themes,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I would love a Xeodrifter too. That would be real fun. I would love to see where that story can go and how you can add on to what's already there. Yeah, that would be. I would definitely sign up for that, no doubt.
I've got some ideas. I think you'll like them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, we get to see that someday. So, what are you working on currently? Are you still doing some things with Chicken Wiggle? Are you working on a new project? What's going on your neck of the woods there?
Oh, I got like 90 things going on at once now. I can't really talk about most of them. Really, the only thing I can talk a whole lot about is I'm working on an initiative to port some open source game engines that have never had console ports before.
Nice.
So there's some cool games that are trapped, and hopefully we'll be liberating them to run on consoles. Hopefully a great number of them. This is going to occupy me for the next few months pretty heavily, but it's been fun. We've finally wrapped up working on one. I can't talk about it. I don't know. I'm not in charge of PR for.
Totally fine. I've worked. I'm not sure if I think I did tell you before. Besides, doing the YouTube videos and all that, I also make game audio as well. And there are many times I'm like, I wish I could say, but obviously that's not allowed. So I'm sure other people are also aware that, hey, until these things are officially announced, there are strict rules on what you can share and what you can't share. So I definitely won't press you on it because I've been there where I'm like, I'm working on stuff, I swear. So we'll just keep our eyes and ears open for what projects you're working on next, and I'm sure people are going to be looking forward to it. Pretty much everyone I've ever met who's played Mutant Mudds or Chicken Wiggle or Xeodrifter has spoken fondly about the game, and I'm sure we'll all be on board for whatever projects you're going to be involved in coming up next. Yeah,
I don't tweet much, so if you see a tweet, it's probably about something I've been working on.
Yeah, so that reminds me. Yeah, so we should definitely put on notifications for Matthew Gambrell because he doesn't tweet too much. But yes, it'll probably be a big news update. So you can definitely turn on notifications because you won't get 20 of them. You'll get like 3, and they'll probably be things you're going to be really interested in listening to. Do you have your Twitter handle up? Have you have it memorized? Can you tell the people where they could find you in case they want to track you down there?
Yeah, it's hard to say though. It's I don't want to mess it up. I better read it.
That's fine.
Where is it written? Okay, it's it's XOR mgambrell 0. That's XOR _ probably.
Yeah, I did believe so. It looks like it.
mgambrell, like my name. MGAMBRELL _0.
Okay, there you go. And I'll be sure to tweet it out as well, so anyone who's following me can obviously see that you're connected to it and can check it out. So without further ado, that's going to wrap up today's episode. I want to thank Matthew Gambrell again for coming on. Didn't have to do it. It was tough to schedule it all together, but I'm really glad that we were able to do this video and for people to get a little more insight. I feel like everyone who listens to this will definitely gain a greater appreciation for the work you do and the music that was involved in Xeodrifter.
All right, thanks, man.
Okay, awesome.
Take care, dude.
All right, thank you. All right, thanks again. And that concludes my conversation with Matthew Gambrell on the music from Xeodrifter. Once again, huge shout outs to Matthew for coming on the show. He didn't have to do that, and he's very busy, as you can see, with a lot of games, a lot of projects, and it was such a joy talking to him. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will see you here once again next month for VGM Podcast Episode 5. We'll be back on video, so sorry about that, but you'll be able to see my lovely face, and we can jam out to some more video game tracks. Okay, talk to you then. Bye.